Hold up. Stop the presses. We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming to bring you this webinar. I'm Dr. Lisa, and I saw an article that completely changed my programming for today. So I want to share with you what I found. So here's what happened. I got this in the mail. I get Dr. Mercola's newsletter every day. I think he sends one. And I saw this article, and this is completely against the conventional wisdom, although, we're in territory that's, you can't really say it's conventional, but we're talking about microplastics. And the conventional wisdom is to avoid plastic bottles because glass bottles and metal bottles will have fewer microplastics. But this study just came out from France, and they found more microplastics in the glass bottles. So I had to dig into this into this research. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, I want to set the table for the battle of the bottles, measuring microplastics. So today we're going to discover 7 secrets about microplastics, plus this one surprise secret that I found when I dug into Dr. Mercola's research. Well, actually, into the research he reported, I dug into the original research articles. And I've got some interesting things, I think. So since there's so many secrets, let's just jump into them. So this is secret number 1. What are microplastics and nanoplastics? Here are the key points. Microplastics are plastic fragments or fibers, and they're designated as less than 5 millimeters. Now, nanoplastics are ultra small particles. They are less than a micron, which is a thousandth of a millimeter. So they're very, very, very small. But how do you get nanoplastics or microplastics? From the breakdown of larger plastics. Now, we're using a lot of plastics in this earth. There are tons and tons of plastics floating in our oceans and degrading in landfills. And it's a worldwide problem. It's not just a U.S. problem. But just to give you an idea, because we're talking about measurement today, the size of a microplastic is less than 5 millimeters, and that's about the size of an ant. So it's smaller than an ant. So what is a millimeter? And I love sharing the story of when I first learned the metric system. I got my first hint of the metric system. I was about 6, and I was reading a Reader's Digest. Now, I know I'm dating myself. You've got to be a certain amount of years on this planet to know what Reader's Digest is. But it was something that summarized articles and books and different things that readers love to read, but it was like Cliff Notes. And they had interviews and everything, but at the end of every article, they had a little joke. And I loved reading the little joke, just a little one-liner usually. And this one joke read, I'm going to make up the name, Julia, I forgot the name. Julia smiled as she 2.54 centimetered her way across the crowded room. And I knew, whatever age I was, I think I was 6, that I didn't know what that meant. but I knew that one day I would. So I just tucked it away. And then one day in ninth grade chemistry class, the teacher wrote up on the board, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. And I was like, 2.54 centimeters, 2.5. And I remembered reading that joke, and I was like, I said it out loud too. I started cracking up. I said, inched. She inched her way across the crowded room. And of course, the teacher had no idea why I was laughing and why I couldn't explain it. So that was my first day as a troublemaker in school. That's when I finally had this delayed reaction to the joke that I had read in um, about the metric system so many years prior. So a millimeter is a very tiny unit. We use to measure length. On a ruler, we have the, uh, I'll say the regular side, right? The inches. But on the other side, there are centimeters. And in between the centimeters are these little teeny divisions called millimeters. And that's what so 1 millimeter is about the thickness of a credit card. And there's all kinds of metric system goodness because you only have to multiply by 10 or 100 or 1,000 to get from one point to another. So when you see the millimeters, the nanometers are even smaller. Like you can't even see them. All right. So that's what microplastics are. Secret number 2, where are they found? They're everywhere. They're in our water, whether it's tap water, bottled water. They're in tea bags. Like some tea bags are made of plastic or nylon. They're in our beverage containers. They're in our food. They're in seafood because the fish eat the little particles of microplastics and nanoplastics that are disintegrating in the ocean. They're in table salt. They're in especially is it Celtic uh, sea salt? Um, I've heard, you hear there are different articles, but they particularly called that one out. Now it could be that that's just the one that got tested. So some research, a lot of the research depends on who is spending the money to get the tests done. That's a whole nother topic. Okay. But there was an article that particularly called that out, Celtic sea salt. Okay. But packaged food, processed foods, ultra processed foods, they're everywhere. They're in the air. They're in the dust. When you sit on a couch, the microplastics can come up from the couch. Um, they're in our pans. They're in our laundry fibers, depending on what kind of clothes you wear. Non-stick coating on our pans. Remember the old Teflon? They've got other technologies now, but microplastics are heavily involved. And so when your pan gets scraped, bad, bad, bad. Secret number 3. So why are they important? I mean, we kind of get the sense that they're going to be bad, but can we find out why? Well, this is the thing. We're exposed daily to tiny amounts from the air, from the water, from the food, from the couch. And there is not a lot of data about the long-term effects on the body. But what we know so far is that these tiny particles cause inflammation and oxidative stress. Now, we've talked about inflammation, and I always have this. My first question is always, is inflammation good or bad? And most people say it's bad. And it's a trick question because inflammation is actually one of the ways the body defends itself and repairs itself, but and also prepares for you to run away from a bear or a lion. But that's acute inflammation, right? Our bodies are ready to spring into action and to defend against a defender and then go back to rest. But when we are um, constantly, continually exposed to these offenders, our bodies don't get a chance to rest. We're always in sympathetic tone. We're always on guard in a chronic inflammation or a chronic state of oxidative stress. And that is very bad. It's a setup for all kinds of diseases. Okay, secret number 4. How do they infect my health? So we said there's about, there's some studies that say we ingest about a teaspoonful of microplastics every week from all of the sources. Now, how much of that is eliminated? How much of that is stuck in our cells? Right, we're still figuring it, and what is the exact effect? We're still figuring out all the details, but here's what we know. The entry routes, you can ingest them, you can inhale them. Most of them are excreted, most of them leave your body, but there are some that may stay stuck in your body and can interact with your tissues. You want to watch for respiratory irritation, GI upset, general inflammation, and evidence is emerging. We can't say for sure all the details what is happening, but watch this space. Stay tuned, and you keep focus on how your sleep is, how your joints are, how your nutrition is. These things can affect your inflammation and can help to ramp up inflammatory responses or calm down inflammatory responses. Secret number 5. What to do to protect against microplastics or to avoid them. So when it comes to water and beverages, again, this is the conventional wisdom. Stainless steel bottles for daily use. Don't heat liquids in plastic. For water filtration is a good thing if you can do it. But a lot of people turn to bottled water. And I'm telling you, every time I see outside of one of those big box stores, pallets and pallets and pallets of bottled water just sitting in the sun. And I could just imagine how much those bottles are releasing, how many chemicals those bottles are releasing into that water under that hot sun. I'm a filter girl. I'm a filter girl myself. So, but we have to live, right? So we have to do what we could do. But stainless bottles or glass bottles are a good strategy. Food in the kitchen. Cut down on your packaged foods, your ultra processed foods. Swap out those non-stick pans, especially if they're scratched, for stainless steel pans or ceramic or glass pans. This is the other thing. If you do have Teflon pans, if you do have nonstick pans, it makes a huge difference when they're overheated. So once that pan gets overheated, those plastics are released. So be very careful. When it comes to tea, try the loose leaf rather than the tea that's inside of those paper or nylon or mesh bags. With the air, it's great If you can get a HEPA vacuum, damp dust weekly, keep the dust down. Laundry, wash cold versus hot. Um, Full loads help to decrease how much the fabrics rub against each other. They have balls that you can catch some of those fibers with. And oh, who remembers? I know there's one person on this call that remembers line drying. When we used to put those sheets out, and oh, nothing smells better than sun dried, line dried sheets. Oh my goodness. There's a whole industry trying to reproduce that smell. Nothing like it. All right, so there are microplastics in our personal products, our lotions, our makeup, and a lot of these things are already banned in European countries. Uh, so we need to read the labels and use brands that you trust. Um, and there's some brands that completely leave out what they call the 10. They leave out the 10 toxic things. But it's good to be vigilant, wise about your skincare, your personal care. Now, this bottom one, uh, do not microwave. We could just stop the sentence right there. Do not microwave, right? But we know that people do a lot of microwaving. So if you're going to microwave, avoid doing it in plastic containers. Use glass or ceramic. Secret number 6. So we're doing our best to get rid of them or to avoid them, but we really can't. So how can we get them out of our bodies once they're in there? Here's the one thing that I love. Our bodies are already on the job. We are already able to defend against many, many things. And so doesn't it just make sense to be able to have extra fiber to keep your bowels moving, to keep that flowing, to get those microplastics out? Hydration. We want to keep our kidneys functioning. We don't want them overloaded with uh, concentrated concentrated blood or concentrated plasma, which will make concentrated urine. We want our kidneys to be relaxed in their functioning. Sweat smart. We want to exercise. Sauna is amazing if it's appropriate for your health. Hot tubs for some people, but again, we have to look at the chlorine. We have to look at so many things. Even our showers, right? There are chemicals in our shower water, so sometimes a shower filter is a good strategy. But I would say the number one thing is to protect your gut. And so I'm going to give you my nutrition strategies later. But a particular hero here that we don't talk about a lot would be fermented foods and also the omega-3 fatty acids to protect your cell membranes. So lots of things that we could do that are normal health and wellness practices. So this just gives us another reason to do the right things. Okay, secret number 7, the glass bottle research shocker. Oh my goodness. What were they talking about? Glass bottles contain more microplastics than plastic bottles. Okay, so here's the original article that Dr. Mercola highlighted. And there it is, microplastic contaminants in a set of beverages sold in France. And, the reading is small, but they studied many different kinds of containers: plastic, glass, the cardboard containers, or plastic coated bricks, cans, cubitainers, like juice boxes, right, on their contamination. And they found that the most contaminated containers were the glass bottles. But what they have found is when they looked into it, it didn't come from the bottles, it came from the lids. So the manufacturers, like if the lids were painted, or if the lids were, they had different characteristics of the lid, or if the manufacturer didn't air dry the lids or blow them out, or wash the lids before attaching them to screwing them on the bottles, then that allowed the microplastics from the plastic of the lids or from the paint that was painted on the lids. So, I was like, okay, the world is back on its axis. Glass bottles are still better than plastic bottles for, avoiding microplastics, with the caveat that if watch the lids. All right. Now, I did want to point out a few things about this study. It was done in France, and the environment is different, right, than around the world. So there may be some environmental considerations or considerations in their manufacturing. This is the biggest thing. It was not a review article. It was So I like to use review articles. A review article means the scientists got together and scoured the globe for studies such as this study that we're studying today, and they put all these different articles together and said, okay, this one showed this, that one showed that. What can we learn from all of these articles? However, this individual research study was well designed. They tried several different types of beverages or types of bottles. They did multiple trials. Um, it wasn't a huge sample, but like I said, it was well designed. So, what will help regardless? High fiber, nutrient dense diet, hydration, regular exercise, right? Sweat, getting your rest, and lowering your indoor dust. Okay, Aunt Margaret. That's a shout out because, when we were taught how to clean, and we kind of like, I don't want to do, we have to do it again. We got to sweep again. Well, okay. That was good advice from the old days. Mindset. Okay. So we're not going to go crazy because just feeling under attack by the environment, but we want to be smart. So reduce exposures when we can, and we want to keep our bodies in tip-top conditions, especially our gut and thereby our immune system. Woo! Okay, so we got a lot done in a little bit of time. I'm so glad I'm going to put this up on YouTube because I do want you to have the information, and I know I blew through it, but I want to introduce myself to some of you who may not know me. I'm Dr. Lisa Singletary, MD, MPH, CWHC. And I put all those there because I found at least 5 other Dr. Lisa Singletary MDs online. I Googled myself. And I don't know if they were all real. At least one of them was real. So I put all my credentials. That way you know it's me. I'm also known as the 100-pound weight loss specialist. And through my experience of losing over 150 pounds, I have created this framework of the 5 M's of total transformation: mindset, macronutrients, that's fats, carbs, and proteins, micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, and more, motion, and measurement. So we're measuring the microplastics today. I am a physician. I am an MD. I'm a retired family physician. I have a master's degree in public health, which is why I love digging into all those research studies and really seeing, did the headline uh, twist the story or what's really going on? They say the devil's in the details, and in these research studies, that's particularly true. But I'm also privileged to be a certified holistic health coach, and I'm passionate about transformation and empowering you in your transformation to achieve your optimal health and wellness goals. So 2006, my gift was motion. I was very, very heavy, as you could see, but I had the gift of motion. So I I had movement in my limbs, in my gut. I was well hydrated. My elimination game was good. And there's just something about the music that makes everything better, right? But in 2008, I left my medical practice. I left ballroom dancing. I went home to take care of my parents. And 8 years later, I needed my father's wheelchair just to get around the house. I needed a miracle. And I love this slide because when I taught um, anatomy and physiology, I used to use this slide, and physics and chemistry. I used to use this slide in my introduction to my class. But in health and wellness, we don't talk about miracles. So this is my disclaimer slide. So I am not identifying, discussing, diagnosing, curing any medical diseases. I'm sharing with you my personal journey, which I personally needed a miracle, but also my understanding of the human body and my ability to dissect the research, as well as my experiences with actual human beings. So, something happened. When I turned 60, I decided to plot my weight through the years because I could remember different physicals at different points in time. And I was shocked that this trajectory that I was on, it was textbook that it's documented that Americans gain 1 to 3 pounds a year, especially in the winter. And the interesting thing on this, couple interesting things are that middle point, the X that shows the dip. I did take a weight loss drug at that time. I had some side effects, so I stopped it very quickly. And look, it's just like I never took it. I was back on the same trajectory. And that talks about, or that lends an example of the body's set point. Like when you are on this path, your brain is designed to resist change, basically. But something happened at letter B. And at that point, I learned how to go from the picture on the left to the picture in the middle to the picture on the right. And my bonus secret today, wow, lots of secrets here. 7 secrets. Here's the bonus. The nutritional blueprint for cellular support. When we support our cells, everything works better. So my framework is the 5 steps to nutritional completeness. Step 1, avoid the bad foods. We don't have to take in just eliminate the microplastics that you can, right? And step number 2, get all the 90 essential nutrients that your body needs. Step number 3, our bodies need help with this chronic inflammation, and chronic oxidative stress. So there are ways to give it help with antioxidants, adaptogens, and anti-inflammatories. Step number 4, crucial, is keeping our gut healthy. The lining of the gut, as well as the gut microbiome, and all of the organs of the gut that pump in the digestive enzymes and the bile salts and all the parts. And in step 5, wellness wonderland, everything else that's out there that can help you on your health and wellness journey. Brain support, gut support, joint support, red light therapy, or, go into the sunlight. Just all the things that people do to try to advance their health and wellness. That's step 5. But that has to be built to get the maximum on the foundation of the first 4 steps. Now let's talk about that second step, the 90 essential nutrients, because I want to highlight this word essential. What do you think of when you hear the word essential? That you need something, right? But in medicine, in biochemistry, in biology, in biomedical jargon, the word essential means the body cannot make it. So there are 90 essential nutrients that we need every day that our bodies can't make. So we have to take them in. So what is the action step? Secure your supplement foundation. Start with the minerals. 60 out of the 90 essential nutrients are minerals. Take a health and evaluation or a wellness selfie scan. Find out where you need support. So if you scan on the left, that will take you to a survey you can just do on your phone or on your desktop. You can answer the questions about what are you feeling in your body, and it will highlight where the gaps are. And then we can go high tech with the wellness selfie scan on the right, which uses something called transdermal optical imaging. What does that mean? Your smartphone, just the phone in your hand the camera in your phone can detect blood flow underneath your skin, the blood flow patterns of your face. And that wellness selfie is amazing. And I just encourage you, give it a try. So the links are there as well. So the link on the left is drlisasingletary.online/health-hub or hyphen. And for the wellness selfie scan, it's drlisasingletary.online/wellness-selfie. Okay, so today we discovered the secrets. Microplastics are everywhere. The biggest, easiest ways of fighting against them are making some changes in your water, in your kitchen, and in your indoor air. The glass bottle findings point to painted metal caps, not the glass itself. So it's still a good idea to avoid plastic bottles and plastic containers and switch to glass or metal. There's no miracle way to detox your body from plastics. However, good old fiber, fluids, and fitness, and then we can add in fermented foods, give a boost to the essential nutrients to keep our cells naturally eliminating the way they are designed to do. So don't panic. Prioritize your rest, your sleep, your post-meal walks, your NEAT from last week, your non-exercise activities, parking a little further away from the store, not going to the grocery store hungry. All these little tips. Um, uh, Morning light and making sure your body has enough protein, because the protein that gives you the building blocks for your body systems, and particularly in this regard, your immune system. So what was your big takeaway? What's one swap you'll try this week? Put it in the comments. Type whether you're going to try a water filter or get rid of those old scratched up warped pans. Get a laundry catcher to collect some of the fibers. Swap the plastic bottle for stainless or glass, and drink plenty of functional hydration. So I did a little research. I did a lot of research, but from the research, I wanted to put together a gift for you. So if you download this, it's a 5-minute video that gives you a good research-based explanation about what we can do to help our bodies defend from microplastics. And I asked for the video to be put on a 5th grade level. So it's great to introduce our kids to some of these healthy habits, or, you want to explain how come we can't just buy a bottle of this or that? Why do we have to wait and fill up with the glass? Or why do we have to use glass bottles or whatever? Whatever questions the kids have, this video will help you to explain it. Alrighty, so you might have come across this by chance today, and I'm so glad you're here. But in case you want to join me, I'm here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. And to register for the whole year, can you believe August is over? I'm traumatized. No, I'm not traumatized, but I am amazed at how quickly time is flying. But every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm here with more total transformation secrets. You can register at drlisasingletary.online/live Zoom. That's live Zoom. But special events every Saturday evening at 9 p.m. I have a watch party on YouTube, and I'll be live in the comments. So right now at whatever time it is on Saturday morning, I'm live, all the way live, and that Zoom link will help you join me. But Saturday evening is the first time the video will show on YouTube. We call it a premiere, and we're live in the comments having our watch party. So it's a little meta because I know we're here, right? So anyway, we're shining light on the secrets. Dr. Lisa Singletary. I love you all. Now, if you're here live with me, stay tuned, because we're going to have a little Q&A, have our class photo. But if you're here on the replay, thank you so much for joining me. Come back next week or anytime on YouTube. I love you all. Mwah.